And Alex, you've gone from the oil and gas industry to the world of defense. I don't know how much you can tell us about what you've done in Ukraine. It's certainly been impactful from some of the side stories I've heard. But let me give you an open field and let you talk about what you can talk about in terms of the transformation that you've made there.
Well, we were laboring in we have these weird ideas about products we should build, and most of them don't look valuable. So we built a mapping technology which allows you to integrate. It's built for the special forces. Many of the special forces use it, and then there's a lot of it's very similar actually to oil and gas. There are all these technical challenges that people on the outside don't believe exist. People on the inside know are really tough to solve. So we built a number of things, but the most important thing we built, of course, Silicon Valley, that loves to talk about its mission, was not willing to support the U.S. government's efforts to build AI. At the time, this was 5 years ago, we thought AI was a joke, and everyone talking about AI were like selling snake oil. But 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 we didn't want people working on this that we didn't think were good at software. And there's one of these, I wouldn't call it bigotry, but I'm very skeptical when hardware companies want to build software. So everyone that was signed up for this project was a hardware company. That by and large doesn't work. So we agreed to work on this and build products. And what we built was what warfighters call a kill chain, what we in public call something else. But it basically it has certain characteristics. At a high level, you can use AI, meaning you can use algorithms to identify targets on any data source, which is, again, those of you in the oil and gas business, it's like very similar to this. That sounds easy. It's actually crazily hard because satellite data are different than sensor data, and the data streams have to be segmented for security reasons. And then in the context of building a kill chain, another thing that's not quite understood is there's an ethics to AI in the military. You can't just have first of all, you can't have the algorithm decide when to engage, that when is the human in the loop, who decides what targets are allowed, what distance from a hospital or a school can a target be taken, what family members or other people can be in the cause. And then at what point is the handoff function happen? And then the after action report requires a handoff function as well. Did the algorithm work? What were the feeds? You have to be able to look into the feeds and see what inputs there were to the algorithm before taking a human life. And these things are crazy important. And we built a whole set of technologies for that. So that's at the high level. The specifics are, you can imagine, they've been written about, but there have been reports that has had a 20x or more likely 30 to 50x increase in your ability to find and take out targets. The Ukrainians, we work closely with them. We work closely with almost every allied country in the world. There's some of this you have to use your imagination for, but the part you don't have to use your imagination for is the Ukrainians. There are certain inputs that have changed in the fighting of war. So one input is the Ukrainians are heroes. I, Whatever you think of our efforts there, you will not meet a group of people that are more willing to fight for their cause than them. And they're very good technically. So that's not us. But another input that has changed is, you can see Russia's been spending $65 billion a year on their military for decades. And you have a country which essentially started from nothing that has done very, very well against them. And this just shows the power of algorithmic warfare plus hero actually can change the course of history, and has changed the course of history. And this single event will change how everyone fights wars, because if a country can spend a couple $1 billion and have tough heroes and can beat a large country, that is very similar to a startup destroying a large company. And it just shows you what the power of these things are. So the good news is, these weapons of war are in our hands. The bad news is everyone now knows it, and our adversaries, mainly China and Russia, are going to work very, very hard to build similar capabilities.